Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead. So, obviously, this being like an hour and a half long episode, which wasn't last week's episode pretty long too? Nevertheless, there was a lot that went down in this episode. For one, once again, Negan just loving Alexandria, just making himself at home, getting a little shaved up, then sitting down for dinner with Judith, Olivia, and Carl, and just sitting at the table and just like, okay, I'm tired of waiting for your dad, so I'm going to get started eating. Carl, pass me the rolls, please. And it's just such a weird dynamic, because like, even Tara tried to bail like Olivia out of it. She's like, no, let me go in there. She's like, no, Rick asked me to look after Judith. She's like, I'm going to see this through to the end, so... But it's just so weird. I cannot praise him enough. Jeffrey Dean Morgan does such a fantastic job, because Negan is such a psychopath, but he has such a charming side to him. And I know how twisted that sounds, but I think that's kind of the point, because it's like, ooh, Negan, I hate you, but God, you say things that kind of make me almost like you. Yes, liking you for being a piece of shit human being, like, because of just the crap that he says. Like, he's very unpredictable. What I brought up before, the fact is that Negan not bashing anyone's brains in, it's so far has seemed to come true. Didn't work out too much for Spencer. I saw that coming, though. I said it was going to happen like that. Didn't go down the way I thought it was. I thought Negan was going to bash his freaking brains in. But yeah, Spencer getting all dolled up and everything. I was like, at first I was like, okay, we see his room, his place cleaned up. I'm like, oh, is this a flashback to him thinking about his mom or something? I was like, oh no, this is present day. He cleaned up, fixed himself up, cleaned up his place, kind of trying to make a good impression on Negan. And, I definitely had a feeling something was going to go wrong, especially when he had that whole conversation with Rosita being like, yo, so let's have dinner afterwards. It's like, why did you even start something with me? She's like, you're kind of cute, and you're tall, just like, you're a good distraction of what the way the world is. That's kind of all it was. And it's like, oh, well, we can have dinner. He's like, I promise that's all it's going to be. And I was like, the moment that's happened, I was like, yeah, something's going to happen to him. Just because it's like, it was one of those moments where it was like screaming to happen. And then you have him actually impressing Negan, bringing him drinks and everything. Like, oh man. It's like, oh, you know what would be perfect? If there was a pool table. It's like, oh, there's one across it. Really? He's like, Spencer, you're becoming my new best friend. I'm like, oh. I was like, because I get giddy when Negan is like that, because you see that, like I said, that charming side of him kind of come out instead of just a psychopath. But at the same time, it's like, oh man, it's like, you're so charming. But at the same time, I know you're so charming because you're a psychopath. You're able to kind of flip that switch at flip of a hat. It's like that goes hand in hand, his charming side with his psychopathic side. And then they're out there playing pool, and he's like, the fact is you can't trust Rick. Rick kind of took things over from my mom. It's like, I can be the leader you want. He's like, you know what I'm thinking? And then he starts breaking things down. He's like, okay, the fact of the matter is, Rick, he hates me. He wants to kill me. But you know what he's out there doing? Getting stuff for me. He's swallowing his hate, and he's getting shit done. I was like, because I knew that was going to be the case. It's like, he respects Rick, because like that's why he hasn't killed Rick, because in a twisted way, just the same way as Carl, he likes Carl just like he kind of likes Rick. I think that's another reason why he kept Carl alive, is because he likes him. Side note too, I ended up seeing another panel, so I was wrong, because I don't remember. I think I brought it up last time. I wasn't sure if the whole like Carl missing an eye thing was from the comic books or not. Apparently it is. I saw a panel that showed that happened. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So it is a comic book thing too. I think the only difference is, like, Chandler Rick's hair is pretty long in the show. I think Carl keeps his hair short, which is kind of something. This is kind of going off book a little. I mean, technically, but that's the whole, like, that was a whole option in the Walking Dead, the Telltale games. It was like Lee and Chuck having that conversation about keeping Clementine's hair short. So that was just kind of interesting to me. But nevertheless, that just kind of popped up in my mind. But it's like, he's like, the fact is, but you are here. You know what you do? You wait until Rick leaves, and then you're coming up me about all this. You want me to kill Rick. It's like, if you really want to run this whole operation, you would have went ahead and killed Rick yourself. You know why? He's like, you know the reason why you didn't do it? Because, kid, you have no guts. Pulls out a big freaking knife, stabs him, and slits his guts open. It caught me by surprise. I was like, he's about to kill you. I wasn't expecting that. Gunshot Lucille. It's like every time you see Negan, you expect Lucille to be his go-to kill. Like, I mean, I almost completely skipped the fact is he literally put Lucille at the table. He like positioned her in the chair. It's like, okay, Lucille is hungry, so we're not gonna wait for Rick. And it's like, once again, just showing you how much of a psychopath he is. Like the whole joke last episode of like, oh, did you touch a vagina and everything? It's like, yeah, come on, you idiot. Bats don't have a vagina. It's a bat, you idiot. But nevertheless, like, the way he talks about Lucille like she is a real woman, but at the same time realizing that she's nothing more than a bat. And it's like, you're stupid for thinking she's anything but a bat. But she's my bat. She's my precious, darling Lucille. Nevertheless, just split his guts open like that. I was like, dude, I just wasn't expecting him to pull out a knife like that. Like I said, because Lucille is his go-to weapon, you expect him to bash everyone's skulls open. And then the moment happened. Rosita took her opportunity. Like, she was so upset because on some level, I mean, for one, it was Negan killing someone else again in front of her. Two, it was just the fact is that, you know, just like Spencer was trying to do the right thing. He was going about it a douchey manner, but he was trying to do the right thing. But it's kind of, you know, it's like, because to him, he felt like Rick wasn't doing things the right way. I mean, he's almost stammering like, oh, no, I didn't want Rick. It was almost like he was about to lie and say like, oh, I don't want Rick dead, which is, we know is complete and utter bullshit, because he kind of brought that up to Gabriel last episode, being like, so something happened. Well, that is the thing. He would want Rick dead and out of the way, sure, but he wouldn't want to go out of his way to do it, because I think more often he knows a lot of people would be pissed at him for doing it, because even if he justifies saying it was the right thing to do, people respect him to follow Rick because he's a good leader, and they wouldn't follow him, and it came down to that, and that sucked. But then Rosita took that opportunity, pulled out the gun. They hit you with that. I was halfway expecting when she pulled out the gun for her to immediately catch a bullet or something, but it's like, nope. The moment she pulls out the gun, they cut to a commercial break. I was like, you douchebags, come back to it. Turns out, freaking the bullet hit Lucille. And it was like, wait, what? And then, oh my God. Rosita had her one shot and she missed. Well, she didn't miss. It got blocked by freaking Lucille. And you saw Negan get pissed off like you've never seen him get pissed off. It's like, you tried to freaking kill me. And it's like, you damaged Lucille, but more so than anything, you tried to kill me. It super pissed him off. Like you've seen him mad, but I saw him like he was almost flustered mad just because of what Rosita did. And he was like, you know what? He's like, I'm gonna have my lady here like cut your face up, you know, because you made Lucille look bad, so now I'm gonna make you look bad so that you match. It's only fair. And the fact is that he was like, okay, so tell me, he's looking at the bullet, he's like, this bullet was made. Oh, who made a bullet from scratch? Did you? And she's like, Rosie kept saying like, I'm the one who did. It's like, no, I know you didn't. He's like, you are a badass for taking that opportunity, but you ain't the one who made this bullet. So who made the bullet? Wouldn't really say. It's like, all right, told the girl, it's like, okay, shoot, kill somebody. Turns, shoots Olivia. I was like, oh my God. I should have saw it coming, because every opportunity, they kept bringing up opportunities like make you think, like I said, they kept bringing it up last episode, making me think Olivia was going to die, and it's like, nope, apparently she's not. So I was kind of like, I was just kept expecting it last episode. I was thinking, oh, maybe the opportunity will pop up this episode, and it apparently did. Well, I guess popped is kind of a ironic way of saying that, since she did get popped. Who else got shot in the face like that? Maybe, I don't know, some never mind, it's not the point. It sucks, dude. Olivia, it's one of those situations again, like, it literally got brought up. Eugene brought it up. It's like, if she killed somebody, it wouldn't be her. Like, if she killed Negan, it wouldn't be her to suffer some ramifications. Someone else would, or everyone else would. And in this case, Olivia suffered it for it. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna give you one last opportunity. Who made the bullet? And then you see Eugene stepping up and like, I made the bullet. And he's like, okay, taking you away. And Rosita's like, no, take me. This is my fault. Like I said, because what I really like about Rosita in this episode was because she had that conversation with Gabriel. And it's like, okay, Rosita, why do you have to be the one to pull the trigger? It's like, yeah, Negan needs to die. He deserves to die. But it's like, why do you have to die with him? And it's just like, she's like, everyone has someone that can fight. Like, if Abraham was still here, they'd be fighting. The fact is that if Glenn was still alive, Maggie would be like, she would have, she'd be fighting. Like, that basically everyone has someone else that kind of pushes them to fight. And I guess it's for her, she's like, I guess she feels like out of a lot of people here, she's weak. That the only reason why she made it this far, in her mind, I would assume it's just how I'm interpreting it. She feels like without Abraham, she wouldn't know how to go forward. Because he even asked her, so what about Sasha then? Because, I guess that kind of left a sour taste in her mouth, because it's like, no matter what, she does realize that, Sasha and Abraham were a thing. And it's just like, I guess she felt like from what he ended up pointing out, it's like, she felt like it should be her. She should have been the one that died. I guess because to her, she felt like she's the most useless one. That's why she's been trying so hard to kill Negan. That's why she's been pushing so hard. It's because it's like Glenn and Abraham died, and it's like, I should be the one that's dead because I'm useless in this group or something. That's how she looks at herself. And Gabriel's like, it shouldn't have been anybody. Didn't have to be Abraham, didn't have to be Glenn. It was, but it shouldn't have been. It's not like it was fate, and it shouldn't be you. The fact of the matter is, wait for your opportunity. Negan needs to die, but the fact is, we need to be smart about it. We need to wait for the right opportunity and then do it. Because the fact of the matter is, they need her. That basically, if they want to stop Negan, if they want to overcome this, they're going to have to come together. And that was just kind of interesting to me. To kind of like, it wasn't outright revenge for what happened to Abraham or Glenn. It partly was, but it was mainly because she felt guilt. It was kind of survivor's guilt because she was still alive and they weren't. And it just, I don't know. And also, side note, it's just every time I look at her, like, to anyone that doesn't know, that's the actress who plays Rosita is the actress who played Susie Crabgrass on Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. I didn't find this out until because she first popped up in season 4, so it might not have been until like season 5 when I heard someone point it out. They're like, oh yeah, Susie Crabgrass is on Walking Dead. I was like, right, that is her. So every time I've looked at her since like season 5, I was like, it's Susie Crabgrass. And it's like, I'm waiting. I'm like, please don't kill Susie Crabgrass. Please don't. Nevertheless, I know it's just, I need to learn her name, but it's just like, every time I see her, I just think that, which I'm sure that would probably upset her a little bit, because it's like, oh, I'm doing this awesome role, and it's like, all you can think about is another role. I mean, I hope that in a situation like that, she looks back, it's like, no, it's fine. You know me for that. That's cool too. I know I'm getting out there, but, God, there's so much else to break down in this episode. The whole situation with Michonne, she kind of explains the reason why she's doing what she's doing, because the lady she's driving with, she's like, yo, tell me how long you've been with Negan. It's like, oh, you're not going to talk because you think it's not going to change anything. She's like, the reason I'm out here is because I'm trying to find another way. She's like, I'm not here to kill Negan, which I thought she was. She's like, no, I'm here to find another way. And the lady ends up driving her to a facility. Like, we kind of see a very far off distance, and she's like, is he down there? It's like, yeah, we're all down there. Like, we're all Negan. It's like, that is like, you thought you've seen how many people he's got. It's like, take that number and magnify it even more. Like, even the large number that you've come across, he has even more under his arsenal. And then even the lady was kind of like, turn back, burn this car, drown, like, throw it in a river or something after you're done. But go back home and just kind of accept things the way they are, essentially, because it's like, she's like, there's a silencer in the glove compartment, and Michonne almost looks at her like, wait, what? And she does it because it's like the lady was trying to give her an out, because that's the thing, like, it's really hard to say who follows Negan because they want to. Even Steve Ogg's character, I don't know if he does it because he legitimately believes in Negan or what. But, definitely someone like Dwight doesn't. Dwight has his own reasons for sticking around. And, even he has his, like, reservations about Negan. Doesn't like serving Negan because he ended up having to give up his wife to Negan. So, but it's like, Michonne did that. Like, that lady gave her an opportunity. She's like, the fact is, it'd be better off if you just kill me, because it's like, I guess for her, it was like, she'd rather be dead than, like, continue serving Negan. And it's like, I guess in a situation just like this, a lot of people have, like, too much pride. They can't do it themselves. They don't, it's like, to like off themselves in a situation like this. They want to get away from Negan, but it's like they can't bring themselves to do it, so they kind of want someone else to do it. And in this case, she kind of asked Michonne to do it because it's like, hey, get rid of this car. That way you can pretend like none of this happened, so there'll be no ramifications from Negan. Then on the flip side of things, you had Ezekiel's right-hand man come to visit Carol and Morgan and asking him, he's like asking Carol, he's like, Ezekiel is taking a liking to you. I need you to convince him to attack the Saviors, because it's like, it's only going to be a matter of time before they snap, and then we're kind of completely screwed, because it's just, who knows what could set them off. One of our people looking at them wrong, or maybe they just have a change of heart one day and they're just like, we no longer feel like holding up this end of the bargain, so we're going to straight up kill you. Which both sides I can see, because for one, it's like Negan in his own twisted way is very honorable. He's always kept up his end of the bargain. Like, to our knowledge, the only reason why he's ever got going after someone is because he's been screwed over in some shape or form. What he does is usually out of retaliation, not because it's like a first move on his part. Even what happened to Rick's group is like, that was a retaliation for what they did at the satellite dish. So it's like, there's that side, but you also see that the side of him where it's kind of like, yeah, but there is kind of like, oh, anything will set him off, because when Rick and Aaron came back with the supplies, there was a note that says like, oh yeah, like, you won, congratulations, you won, but you still lose. And it was a picture of a middle finger. They found it in the back because it was part of like the stuff they found when they went off on their own. Negan's people like flipped out. It's like, oh, you think this is a joke? Oh, did you leave us a little note? And Aaron's trying to explain. It's like, no, it's not like that. And he proceeded to beat him up. And he was like, it's not even about the note. It's just kind of like, in their minds, they looked at it as like, oh, this is you insulting Negan or something like that. Which is like, I don't know, like, it makes you wonder, like, how tough do people act because they're part of the Saviors? I mean, because they all have that mentality. Like, is it because they're like, yeah, I'm with Negan, or do they truly believe that like we are Negan? You know, but it's like they didn't have to go that far. It was a misunderstanding, but it's like something simple like that set them off to the point they beat the crap out of Aaron and were telling like Rick not to get involved, and it's like. So that's why you can understand why the guy was being like, yeah, flip of a hat, they could easily turn and decide to wipe us all out. I mean, as Michonne's kind of pointed out, they have the manpower to do it, to wipe everyone out. Because I was thinking like, oh, Hilltop in the Kingdom, you know, with Alexandria, you stand a chance. But it's like, their numbers are even greater than we thought. It's just, once again, the question is, how did Negan amass such an army? How does he have so many people follow him? Why is it that no one's ever taken, why isn't anyone else taking the opportunity to try and kill him? I mean, maybe Negan's got the devil's luck, and every time anyone's come his way, he's always triumphed and overtaken him. Maybe there have been people in the past who tried to take him out, but he's taken each and every one of them down. I mean, as we saw in this episode, he definitely has the devil's luck because Lucille blocked a bullet. I had a feeling it wasn't going to be that easy. I want to know what would have happened, though. Because that's the question. What will happen once Negan is dead? What will the rest of the Saviors do? Will they fall in line, or will they try and kill him? The way Negan makes it seem like even if they kill him, it's like we're all Negan, so it's like someone else would take that spot. I mean, that is the question. What if Negan isn't the original Negan? What if he actually killed the previous Negan to kind of gain where he is? Like, maybe it's kind of like the quote-unquote spirit, the essence of Negan passes down to the next person in line. So maybe he was the one that kind of ran to the top, and now no one's bothered trying to take him from that spot. That's why I need some backstory. Hopefully we get some in the second half of the season. Because I also knew it's like, Negan's a pretty big enemy in the comic books. So I was like, he seems like a dude that's going to be around for at least a little while. At the very least the entire season. There's no way they're going to kill him off in like the first half of the season. I was wondering, I didn't think Rosita was even going to get the shot off. I legitimately thought she was going to get killed before that happened. But it's like, nope, she actually got the shot off, but it was blocked. So I was like, that's rough, dude. But the whole situation with Ezekiel's right-hand man, Carol was like, I'm not getting involved. It's like, I told you from the beginning. I told you, Ezekiel, I've told Morgan, I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be involved in anything. I don't want to be involved with your, which will ultimately be your death, because it's like because for both of them, it's like there are going to be a lot of people that die in this on either side. And Morgan, being the way he is, not wanting to kill, it's like for him, he doesn't want to go back that way before, because he's found peace on a path that he's on. And it's like, he killed that guy to protect Carol, but it's like, he didn't want to. But that you bring, like, Ezekiel's right-hand man brings up a good point. It's like, the fact of the matter is, like, you did that to protect her. It's like, I did that one life to save another. And it's like, this situation is the exact same. And it's like, you get where they're coming from, because it's like Carol's kind of going through everything she's going through, that mental change, because it's like for Carol, it's like she built up these walls and became the person that she became. But it's like with everything that's happened, those walls have crumbled, and she's kind of like, I guess you could look at it as like she turned her humanity off. She tried to cut off that human side of her, and she tried to play a role. And like it's gotten to the point that that role is hard to play. She can't play that role anymore. She doesn't want to. And Morgan, being the way he was before, on a destructive path, just needing to kill more so than anything, wanting to die. And it's like he's kind of found some kind of center of balance, and it's like he doesn't want to lose that again. He doesn't want to become that person who was before he met Eastman. Then you also had the situation with Daryl escaping. I still want to say it was probably Dwight, but I mean, who's to say? He ends up getting to a bike, and he sees, I guess the guy's name, I can't remember his name, he's like Big Joe or something like that. He's like, oh, please, man, you can go, the gate's right there. The fact is, I'm just doing what I can, but Daryl proceeds to take the pipe that he had picked up and bashes his hand in, because it's like, this isn't about just doing whatever it takes to survive. This is, for their group, it's all about taking everything from everyone. So it's like, don't, like, I guess for him, it's like, don't pretend like you're innocent. Like, anyone that's working with the Saviors, you're not necessarily innocent. Because even the lady that shot Olivia, you kind of see her expression on her face, looked like she didn't want to do what she did, but it's kind of like, you follow Negan's orders or you're dead. It's as simple as that. And it's like, Negan's got a lot of people that it won't even end with him just killing you. It might be just like making your life a hell. Death is the easy way out. And I'm sure Negan can find many ways as we've seen, the Iron is one example of like one way he can just kind of screw you over, because killing is the easy way, but still, just so much went down in this episode, dude, because there was an interesting conversation between Rick and Aaron too, because Rick had said, like, if you want to, you can stay behind, because he was like, we're about to get on that boat that's full of holes and everything. And like, Aaron's like, okay, I'm gonna pretend like you didn't tell me. I could just stay back, And I mean, it was a very close call, because Aaron fell into water. I was like, oh crap! Don't tell me Aaron's dead. Don't. Oh, I was like, I'm about to say, is it his husband or his boyfriend? I can't. I think they might be married, aren't they? I'm not sure. I was like, his significant other's waiting back home for him. Don't have a repeat of Tara Denise. It's like, okay, he's good. He's like, I'm okay. I was like, I'm okay. And it's just like, oh, but Rick kind of explained himself. It's like, it's not that he didn't think Aaron couldn't do it. It's because really, like, Rick is scared. Like, for the first time, it's like, he's always been strong enough that, yeah, they've lost people along the way, but more often than not, he could protect the people he cares about, all those important to him. But it's like, after coming across Negan, that confidence he had, his pride, like it was shaken. He came across someone that he was well outmatched for, because anyone Rick's ever gone up against before in the past, like, he's come out on top. Whether it was the Terminus cannibals, whether it was the governor, came out on top no matter what. It wasn't the easiest thing on some occasion, but they still came out on top. But then you take someone like Negan, who completely outmatches them in numbers, broke his spirit, broke everyone's spirit, kind of make him like serve him and everything. It just, he wants to hold dear everyone. He doesn't want to have anyone else take chances, because for him, he's like, I understand. Like, there's a lot of people that don't agree with what I'm doing. They kind of blame me and everything. And he's like, I understand. He's like, I don't understand if you felt the same way. And Aaron's like, I was there. Like, a lot of people back there who have a problem weren't there when what happened with Abraham and Glenn. They didn't see that. We all saw that. I saw that. So I know you're just doing the best you can to make sure that we all survive. And he kind of brings up Michonne, and he goes, well, the fact is, Aaron understands that side of it too, but it's kind of like a situation of like, you have to do what you have to do to make sure not just we survive, but even people we have back in Alexandria, the people we love, survive. Because for him, it's like, if we die, that's fine. If we die, we just have to make sure it's so that they survive. That's what it all comes down to, making sure that everyone that they care about lives. And it's like, because it comes down to, you're either living or you're dead, or the people you care about are either living or they're dead. And it's like, you got to do everything you can to make sure they keep on living. So, because even Michonne, to a certain extent, kind of came around, because after seeing Negan's might, even she was kind of like, yeah. But even then, she was like, no. But it's even more so the reason why we have to fight. Because the fact of the matter is, we've gone through so much. We've faced so many challenges, and yet we're here. We shouldn't be. I mean, a great example. I mean, granted, Glenn isn't there anymore, but for the longest time, there are so many times throughout the show that Glenn should not have made it, but he did, and that's inspiring. And I mean, that's not an example they brought up because that's kind of outside the show. But I mean, because really, you could be like, well, after all that, it kind of caught up to him anyway. But nevertheless, it's like they have been through so much, they faced so much, and they come out on top. It's not saying this will be easy, but it's like, well, for everything that they have, it's to get back what they've lost, to keep what they've lost, to keep what they have. It's like they have to fight. They can't stay like this forever, because the fact is, even Negan himself is like, after what went down today, it's like even Rick and his group, Alexandria, are even deeper in the hole. They owe him even more because of everything that went down, because Rosita tried to shoot him and he took Eugene because Eugene could make the bullets. I was halfway expecting him to bash Eugene's brains in. I was like, because I didn't know whether he was going to take Eugene or kill him, because it's like, take Eugene because he can make bullets, but at the same time, it's like, kill him so he can't make bullets for anyone else. And he was just kind of, Lucille, give me strength. I was like, he's about to swing it, and it's like, he didn't. Once again, bringing up my point of like, I don't think I could be wrong. Maybe Negan won't swing Lucille and bash someone's brains in for the rest of the season, but the fact of the matter is, you always have that fear because of what he did to Glenn and Abraham. So, I mean, you could also break it down probably from a TV perspective, like just in kind of breaking the fourth wall a little bit. Maybe he legitimately can't, because it's like, maybe because that was kind of a big backlash from that. Even though this show has always been brutal, they're like, oh my god, like, the fact is that was super brutal. It's like, did everyone forget what happened to Noah? What was that, back in season 5 or 6? Noah got it pretty damn rough. Like, there have been a lot of people that have gotten it rough. I think Noah, out of anyone, has gotten it the roughest so far in the series when it comes to being ripped apart by walkers. That was rough. I mean, still, Negan bashing Abraham and Glenn's brains in, especially because they kind of pulls on Glenn's face after he gets like that first whack. Then it's kind of like, yeah, that's pretty brutal in itself. But it's like, this show's always been brutal, so it's kind of like, where are you coming from with that? The show's always been brutal. Is it different because it's a human bashing in another human's brains, even though it's like, okay, that's excusable because that's zombies are fictional. It's like, I guess because with Negan it's a little too realistic, but I mean, I get it. Like, everyone's got their tolerance of, like, they think like, oh, something's way over the top, whether that's needed or not. I mean, apparently that's straight out of comic book. I mean, from comic book people, you would think they would love that. They'd be like, dude, that's straight out of the panels from a comic book. I love that they did that. They adapted that shot for shot, panel for panel, so that's pretty cool. But, like I said, everyone's got their own. It makes you wonder, like, how many of those people were like, I feel like if you've watched this show, you'd be okay with that. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it was just kind of popping in the back of my mind. So maybe that's something they've kind of like lessened for the rest of the season. Like, maybe they initially had it so that he would do it more, but because it got so much backlash from that, I mean, even then, I still don't think they would have backed down. I mean, because it's like, if Negan's going to bash someone's head in, he's going to bash someone's head in. But I'm thinking, like, it's supposed to be that mind fuck of being like, oh, he's doing that, like, he did that at the beginning, and it's like, anytime you see him with Lucille, like he's swinging Lucille or something, you halfway expect him to do that to someone else. I mean, I'm surprised Rick did. I mean, because I was wondering, because I was thinking like Rick was going to be super pissed at everyone. I mean, he ended up stabbing Spencer in the head, but that's because Spencer, was turning and whatnot. But I think there's a part of him that was kind of like, well, you try to backstab me, so this is kind of for that, But at the same time, it's like, you kind of feel for Spencer, because you kind of understand why he did what he did. Shouldn't have done what he did, but you can understand why he did it, because he was like, the fact is, he thinks Rick is a unpredictable variable, and it's like, he feels like he was because he didn't trust that Rick wouldn't try and screw up this whole Negan situation. It's like, no, Rick was pure stuck in his ways of being like, yeah, we're going to do things this way, not really changing his mind. I'm assuming, like, if things had not played out the way they did with Spencer, then who knows what would have happened with Rick. Rick would probably have stayed content with the way things were. So I guess in the long run, what Spencer did kind of had a silver lining to it, in the grand scheme of things, a very big silver lining. And the scheme of things as they are now, it kind of sucks that it took that, but it's a combination of things. But I'm surprised he kind of didn't chew Carl out, but he finally understands, like, the fact is they have to fight. He kind of lost his way because of everything that went down, being outmatched by Negan. But there's that moment at Hilltop. I've never been so giddy in this show. I was like, everyone's together. It's like, they got Maggie, they got Sasha, Daryl's there too. I was like, oh god, it's so good. so good. And it's like, oh, I felt it, and it was just like everyone's hugging and just like, yo, we got this. And then you see that Daryl, like, because I didn't recognize it at first because I'm an idiot. I was like, oh yeah, Daryl took a gun, and then he hands it to Rick. I was like, right, that's Rick's gun. Why am I stupid? Because Negan took that. But Rick's got it back and everything, and it's just like it's almost like Rick's Lucille. So it's kind of like Rick is locked and loaded and ready, and it's just like, dude. They got me. I was like, dude, everyone's walking towards the place, and I'm like, dude, I'm super hyped for things because it's like you already have like, because some things that went down in Hilltop is like the fact is a lot of people look up to Maggie and Sasha after everything that went down. Excuse me. They look at it, it's like, yo, you saved the day and everything, so it's like, of course we're gonna back you because you're oh god, I can't remember his name. The douchebag leader of Hilltop. I'm completely blanking on his name. I know the actor's name now is Xander Berkeley, but he was eating an apple, and Maggie's like, "Oh, are you going?" Like he's like, "Oh yeah, the people here are just like enjoying you, just like, oh, you're praising your name for what you and Sasha did." Which is a side note. He remembered their names. I mean, granted, the last episode we saw, like Maggie punched the crap out of him. It's like, "Yo, get our damn names right." And it's like the moment he's Maggie. Yeah, it's praising your name, and Sasha. I was like, he got both of their names right. So, I mean, that's a good thing because he wouldn't want Maggie to kick his ass because she easily could. I mean, she already did, but he wouldn't want her to kick his ass even worse. But he's like, but don't let it go to your head. She's like, I'm not. The fact of the matter is, she's like, you're acting a little bothered by this. Like, you shouldn't let it bother you. It's like, because it threatens his power and everything, because everyone, like, that used to kind of support him is just kind of, like, no longer supporting him. I mean, granted, to be fair, you're kind of a crappy person. You kind of, when the situation went down, you hid in your house. Maggie and Sasha kind of took charge, and specifically Maggie, so... And then he's like, about to eat apple, and Maggie's like, are you going to eat that? And he's like, yeah, I am. And one of the guards is like, dude, you know she's pregnant, right? And he tosses her the apple and she kind of eats it. It's almost, you can almost see like a smug look on her face, like almost like she was giving him the middle finger. It's like, yeah, you suck. But it's going to be interesting to see how things kind of play out. The fact is we have so many fronts. Little spoilers because I had to watch the preview because obviously it is coming back in February. I had to make sure because usually that is when the show does come back. But it's like, dude, Rick is raising up the armies. Everyone's coming together. We're getting Hilltop. We're getting Kingdom. Which does bring up the question. I wonder will Tara bring up that group she came across with all the ladies? I wonder will she bring them up as a someone else that can join their side or not? Because Rick is like, yo, we got to take down the Saviors. Like, they're your problems. They're our problem. They're Hilltop's problem. Oh God. It's so good. And I cannot wait. Side note, apparently we have someone sneaking around. It was someone that's been they followed Rick and Aaron because they saw him packing up all that stuff, and they're followed them back to Alexandria, and we see them kind of looking at that, and it's like, who the hell is that? Don't know. Ally, enemy? I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. So I know we still don't even know what happened to Keith because, like I said, the last time we saw, like, the truck is gone, and Tara was like, oh, I hope he's okay. I hope it was him. I hope it was you that kind of drove away with the truck. So we still don't know where his status is. So he could be out there in the winds for all we know. So, but such a good mid-season finale. I'm super hyped to see what they do with the rest of this season because it's like, yo, the rest of this season is going to be full throttle. Let's wreck the Savior. So I'm just super excited to see where all that goes. It's like, because I get the feeling too, there's probably going to be some people on the Savior side that's going to decide to work. I mean, like, given an opportunity, like, I'm like, later in the back of my mind, I think the person who's going to put Negan down is going to be Rick. I think out of anyone, it's going to be him. So it's kind of interesting because initially Sasha was kind of pointing out the fact is because Enid kind of saw through her bull, like about how Jesus left, like, oh, today or something like that. And then she was like, no, I came to talk to the people. Apparently, people around town. It's like, yeah, Jesus left last night, so you're lying to Maggie. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to kill Negan. She's like, you're not alone. But for Sasha, she kind of felt like she was because it's like, we can't bring Maggie into this because if we brought Maggie into it, Maggie would want to do something about it. It's like, we have to protect Maggie. It's like, Glenn's not here to do it. And we have to do it because Maggie's our friend and we have to protect her and her baby, but also because it's like, we kind of have to do it for Glenn too. So And there was even a moment later on when like everyone kind of joined up. We saw Sasha and Rosita kind of looking at each other, not really saying anything, but kind of acknowledging each other. Like, just a great episode, and I cannot wait to see what they do with the rest of the season. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.